Hi everyone, welcome back to Company Secretary Executive Entrance Test CSEET Paper 4A Current Affairs Bulletin Discussion. So in this particular section we previously discussed the June as well as the July month's bulletin. So today I'm bringing to you August month's bulletin which we're going to discuss in detail. So without wasting much time, come on, let's get started. To tell it upfront, this month's bulletin, which was issued by ICI, basically has two parts of it. One is with regard to the RBI's notification, that is Financial Stability Report, which is basically after the impact of COVID, how is the entire banking sector functioning relating to that. And then we have something regarding national educational policy. So only two basic parts there in this particular aspect. So let's discuss that. But regarding national educational policy, we've covered it in detail in our class, way more points than what is actually given here. So we'll just read through what is given here. And with regard to financial stability report, if I just tell you about capital adequacy ratio or non-performing asset ratio or anything of that sort, it might not make much sense to you. So I would have to feed you with little more information than what is given upfront in this bulletin to make you understand the concept of this financial stability report and the terms used in this report. I don't want you to just remember the facts given in this report, but I want you to understand and then make sense about how basically these terms you given in this report, these ratios given in this report, make sense to the practical world. Like if you say the capital adequacy ratio is high, is it higher the better, or is it lower the better? Should it be higher to say that we're doing good, or the banking sector is doing good, or should be lesser to tell that the banking sector is doing good? What exactly is non-performing assets? So all these are the things that I'm going to feed you, which is not part of the understanding required for current affairs, but it should be known to make sense of this particular thing. Yes, so come on, let's get started. So the first thing that we have is with regard to the 21st issue of financial stability report. Yeah, so the financial step, this is a news concept. Basically the government intervention ensured normal functioning of financial markets, RBI in financial stability report. Now, after this entire impact that happened in the month of June, basically this financial stability report was issued by RBI. RBI's prima facie statement that it made was that government intervened and then made a lot of changes in the market, isn't it? Banking sector, basically not just after COVID. In fact, before COVID also, the banking sector went through great changes. You guys have you should be remembering this, what we discussed in the class. We discussed the mega bank merger. You guys remember what was the basic deposits, what is the number of accounts that was there, and how is the kind of impact on consolidation. Yeah, what is the kind of impact that is causing because of merger of the banks, what banks are going for merger, why is this merger happening? I've discussed it in detail in the regular class. I don't want to make this bulletin video too bulky. So if you would have read that, it will make more sense. So government intervened in the banking sector and brought some major changes. In fact, in the previous bulletin also, if you guys can remember, we discussed the changes in the Banking Regulation Act 1949, which was brought in by way of an ordinance which was approved by the President Ramnath Kovind ji in the previous bulletin that we discussed that. Yeah, that involved changes to cooperative banks as well as one more change, Section 45, Section 56, relating to amalgamation and merger of banks. Yes, so this intervention of the government into the banking sector has done good to the banking sector is what the RBI governor has to say. Okay, let's get going. So this is an usual report that's stated by RBI, which gives you overall understanding of the banking sector. So let us get into this report, RBI's financial stability report. Okay, government's action during pandemic. This is during the pandemic. After that March 15th, after the March 2nd week, the measures taken by the government, what is the impact of those measures on the banking sector? Yeah, in the response to COVID-19, a combination of fiscal, monetary and regulatory interventions on an unprecedented scale has ensured normal functioning of financial markets. So because of the government intervention, the financial markets have been performing normally is what the statement made by RBI. Next, actions undertaken by financial sector regulators and the government to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 ease the operational constraints and helped in maintaining market integrity and resilience in the face of severe risk aversion, the report said. Okay, it might not have made much sense, but let me tell you. Government, along with other government organizations and regulators are now RBI regulates banking sector. SEBI regulates stock market. So there are similar, like for insolvency and bankruptcy, we have IBBI, and to regulate the company secretary profession we have our beloved ICSI. So there are regulatory bodies, there is government and regulatory bodies. When they intervene and they made changes in the banking sector as well as in the financial sectors, the decisions which are relating to what fiscal, monetary, and regulatory interventions. When they did this, this has ensured that because of the pandemic, there is no much of interruption and things are running smooth by way of finance in the country. The things are running smooth by in terms of stock market and everything else in the country. So that is a statement that's been made by RBI. In spite of this statement, what we need to remember is that the GDP levels have fallen down acceptable. It has to be, it might not be something that's digestible, but that's something that we all should accept. So the GDP of country has come down. We are a country with huge number of population. Yeah, we can't compare ourselves with any other country to say that okay fine, their GDP was not as affected as much as it has affected us. So the dynamics of our country is quite different. So we actually took major blow because of this pandemic. We have to accept it. Yeah, but it is always like we cannot take the credit away from the government and the regulatory bodies. If not for those measures by the government and regulatory bodies, the impact might have been more severe. I'm not telling you that what to say, the current GDP or the current state of economy is good. I'm not saying that, but it may have been worse if not for the measures that's been taken. Let us not, I'm not talking, I'm not taking sides here to tell okay this government has done great, that government has not done great or something. I'm not taking sides. I'm telling you it is not great. The current state of economy is not great. All of us have to accept it, but it might have been more worse if not for the measures, is what I'm trying to tell. Yes, okay, that's with respect to this financial stability report given by RBI. And regarding bad loans, now this is the crucial part. This is where your examination comes into picture. Okay, so you want to concentrate on this part. Yeah. Bank credit, which had considered weakened in the first half of 2019-20, slid down further subsequent period. We are not talking about the pandemic state now. 1920. When we say 1920, starting from 1st of April 2019 to 31st of March 2020. So for the financial year 1920, the pandemic affected only the month of March or later of March. But we can basically say there was not much of an impact for 1920. But it has most of the impact is for 2021. You guys get that? But however, in 1920 all by itself, what to say, the economy had slowed down a little, and it had weakened, and the bank credit had fallen down, and it has slid further down in the later part, in the next 6 months of 1920. Okay, this is the critical part. This is what I was trying to ask you people to focus. Capital to risk weight assets ratio, CRAR. If you guys can concentrate in the second line here, there's a word. What is the word? Capital to risk weighted assets ratio. Now, in order to determine or in order to say whether something is good or bad, you can't tell it upfront. You would have to compare it with something else. You need to identify ratios. That's how you tell. Now, you all of you being commerce students or what to say, little understanding about the commerce. If I tell you that the net profit or my organization is 10,000, or if I tell you my gross profit of my company is 15,000, can you guys tell me whether it is good or bad? You can't really tell it. I need to compare it with my sales. I need to compare it with my capital. Only then we can make a statement. You guys get it? If I say my sales is 1 lakh and my profit is 20,000, profit is 20%. That makes sense. 20% is okay. Very much okay. Very good. Nice. But the same 20,000 might not be okay, might not be good. If I tell you my sales was 10 lakh, my sales was 10 lakh and my profit is 20,000. My sales is 1 lakh and my profit is 20,000. Do you see the difference? The profit as an amount is same, but if you compare it with the capital, if you compare it with the sales, then your answer of okay, not okay, good, bad comes up. You guys get that? So you need to compare two items. You need to identify a relationship between two items. Only then you would be able to say whether it is good or not. You guys get that? Okay, so you need to find ratio. How much of this is in proportion of this? You guys get that? Similarly, in the banking sector also, to tell how exactly is the banking sector doing, we take basis of ratio. Now this particular thing is one of the ratios, not the only ratio. What is this ratio that we're discussing? Capital to risk weighted assets ratio. To be very clear about it, this is basically found as capital divided by risk weighted assets. Now what exactly is capital? There's a proper formula and computation procedures given by RBI, and in order to say it's part of your banking regulation act schedules as well. So this basically goes like there is certain things which are covered in tier 1 capital, there are certain things which are covered in tier 2 capital. So you take tier 1 capital plus tier 2 capital, divide it by risk weighted assets. Now what is risk weighted assets? Assets multiplied by the risk against them. Now if you have any deposit with RBI, it carries zero risk. Now if I keep 1 crore rupees with RBI as a bank, I've deposited 1 crore with RBI, I get that money back. Yet the RBI is the central banking institution of our country. You have to trust RBI. So RBI is the most trusted or entity or most trusted regulator. It's a banking regulator. You get that money back. So the risk associated with that is 0%. Whereas if you give a loan to someone, then there is an element of risk involved there. You guys get that? If you have bought some land, building, or some assets against it, you might not recover that capital what you invested. There is a risk associated there. So there is percentages. Certain things have 5% risk, certain things have 20% risk, certain things have 100% risk. So you multiply that asset with risk percentage. Whatever you get is risk-weighted assets. That becomes your denominator. In the numerator, you take tier 1, tier 2 capital. And when you do that, you get risk-weighted assets ratio. What do you get? Capital to risk-weighted assets ratio. This ratio, if it is higher, it is better. If it is higher, it is better. That's how the market basically sees it. Higher risk-weighted assets ratio means that the company, the banking company, is more financially stable. Yeah. Let's see. The capital to risk-weighted assets ratio of scheduled commercial banks. You guys get it? Now, what is scheduled commercial banks? I had discussed it in the previous bulletin also. Banking sector in our company, we can categorize it. Public sector, private sector. Private sector may would say commercial, non-commercial, agriculture, everything. Yeah, commercial banks under the private sector, if they've been listed or if their name is there in Schedule 2 of RBI, they're called as scheduled banks. So RBI prepares one schedule. In that schedule, if this bank's name is there, that's a listed commercial, scheduled commercial bank. Example: HDFC, HSBC, ICICI, Citi Bank, yeah, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, all these Karur Vaishya Bank or Punjab National Bank. So all these are what? Scheduled commercial banks. Edged down to 14.8% in March 2020 from 15% in September 19. So in September 2019, it was 15% risk-weighted assets and capital ratio. Now it has come down to 14.8%. So is it good? No, it has come down by 0.2%, negligible. But is it good? No, higher the better is with respect. It is to be with respect to capital to risk-weighted assets. Okay, going further. Next thing is GNPA. See if you can continue reading. While their gross non-performing asset ratio. Now, what exactly is GNPA? Gross non-performing asset. Let's focus on the word non-performing asset. What exactly do you mean by non-performing asset? Let's focus on the last word, asset. We're talking from the bank's perspective with regard to asset. What exactly is an asset to bank? To bank, its basic operations is borrowing money, lending money. I accept deposits from public, give it as loan to people. When I give it as loan to people, I have to collect that money back from them. Not everyone will become Vijay Mallya and Lalit Modi, isn't it? So I would have to, sorry, Nirav Modi. I would have to collect money back from those people. When I would have to collect money back from those people are my assets. So the loans given are the assets to bank. I repeat, loans given are the assets to bank. If I as a bank, I've given loan to someone, those people who accepted money from me as loan have to pay me timely interest. Whenever they're paying me timely interest, they are performing their duties. I repeat, when I give loan to someone, and I am a bank here, and I've given loan to someone, when they accept loans, they would have to pay interest on timely basis to me. Whenever they're paying interest on timely basis to me, they are considered as what assets? Performing assets. Why? They're performing their duty or they're performing their responsibility of paying the interest on timely basis. But if they stop paying interest, if they stop paying interest for 90 days, if they stop paying interest for 90 days, I keep quiet till 90 days because my mistake they might have ignored or they might have skipped. After the 90th day, they are no more considered as performing assets. They'll be considered as non-performing assets. I repeat, they're considered as non-performing assets. Then there is further classification within non-performing assets. Yeah, standard asset, substandard asset, doubtful 0 to 1 years, doubtful 1 to 3 years, doubtful greater than 3 years, and loss asset. All this is to be read in detail when you read Banking Regulation Act. Thank God you don't have it in detail here, but that's just for your understanding. Now tell me, a bank should have more NPA or less NPA? NPA, lesser the better. NPA, lesser the better. If you have less people who will not pay, it's nice for you. If you have a lot of people who have taken money from you and none of them are ready to pay you back, it is bad, no? The banking sector will collapse. So lesser the non-performing assets, better it is for the bank. Lesser the NPA, better for the bank. Higher the capital adequacy ratio or higher the capital to risk weighted assets ratio, it's better for the bank. Done. So what has happened to GNP? Let's see. So their gross non-performing asset ratio declined to 8.5% from 9.3%. So how much was it previously? 9.3%. How much is it now? 8.5%. So the bad debts have reduced in the bank. So this is a good news. This is a good news. So from 9.3% it has come down to 8.5%. So this is a positive thing that we should take. And the next thing is provision coverage ratio. Okay, let's, before seeing 65.4, 61.6, I'll tell you what exactly is provision coverage ratio. Now, provision. What is provision? Now, today I buy a pen, I pay money, it is expense. Today I buy a pen, I pay money, it is expense. After 1 month, I would have to buy a pen. After 1 month, I would have to buy a pen. Do I have to pay now? I would pay after 1 month. But what if I don't have money after 1 month? What if I don't have money after 1 month when I would actually want to buy a pen? So what will I do? Starting today, I start saving small amount of money. Maybe assume that the cost of the pen is 30 rupees. Today I keep aside 1 rupee. Tomorrow I keep aside 1 rupee. So I start saving up money. I start saving up money and then accumulate the money and then buy the pen. You guys get that? So right now if I incur expense, it's expense. For a future expense, if you start keeping money aside, if you start charging it right now, it's called as provision. It's called as provision. Now let us understand this in banking sector terms. Now I am a banker. I have given loan. I have given loan. Against that loan, the person who's borrowed money from me should pay me interest. Should pay me interest, performing his duty. If he doesn't pay me interest, he becomes a non-performing asset. We are clear till here? If he becomes a non-performing asset, he has not performed his duty in relation to payment of interest. If he is a non-performing asset, he has not performed his duty in relation to payment of interest. Now, when my customer, my borrower, the person who borrowed money from me, has not even paid me interest, can I expect him to pay the principal? He has borrowed 10,000 from me, should pay 50 rupees interest. He has not paid 50 rupees. Can I expect him to pay back 10,000? No. If he doesn't pay me 10,000, the 10,000 loan that I gave is lost to me. On the day when he says he's bad, on the day when he says he can't pay. But I will not wait till that date. We go by prudence. We go by practical approach. What do we do? When I think, okay, this guy might not pay. This guy might jump from the flyover into the river and commit suicide and not pay. If I doubt, he has not confessed it to me that he'll not pay. But I think he might not pay. I'll start writing it off right now. I start keeping some money assets in it. Oh, this much money I will not receive. This much money go in the. That is provision. That is provision. Higher the provision, company is more stable. Like companies, okay, fine, it's able to take it so much. Like so much money, they are saying that they'll still not receive. They'll not receive. In spite of that, the company is still functioning. You get that? So higher the provision percentage, higher the provision percentage tells that the company is more stable. Recovery is different. It might recover, it might not recover, but you are able to create such an amount of provision and still make profits. That's a positive sign. Done. So the provisions. What exactly is the provision coverage ratio? How much provision was there, and how much of the provision was covered in covering the bad debt is the point here. Higher the provision coverage ratio, better for the bank. More bad debts have been covered by the provision. That's the point. Okay. Quick points. Capital to risk weighted assets ratio, higher the better. Then gross non-performing asset ratio, lower the better. Provision coverage ratio, higher the better. You guys get that? So provision coverage ratio on capital to risk weighted assets, if it is high, the banking company is doing good. Whereas non-performing assets, if it is less, the banking company is doing better. Okay, what is happening with respect to our provision coverage ratio? Improved to 65.4% from 61.6% over this period. So it has increased from 61.6 to 65.4. So that's again a positive news. That is basically coming out of stability report that's been issued by RBI. Okay. Macro stress test. Stress test means like this. Okay, now if nothing is there and everything is fine, I'm smiling at you. But just imagine someone sitting in front of me and then irritating me or torturing me. Then would I be still smiling? How much stress can I take and still smile? So that's a stress test. That's a stress test. See, when I don't have any work to do, I'll be like smiling, happy, enjoying, singing song, dancing, ha ha ha, laughing. But if I've been piled up with work, I have so much things to know. If they ask me to shoot like 26 hours of video in a day, Not possible, right? Yeah, when that's been asked, how do I behave? Will I be anxious? Will I be tense? Will I be sweating? You know, I'm like not sweating. I'll be tensed and sweating. I'll be like this. I'll be shivering. So that's a stress test. So with regard to that credit stress test, okay, macro test of credit risk, if it is basically done, how would it perform? And then one more such test is being done. Yeah, that again gives some amount of understanding. And these are like two complex terms, guys. In fact, people are in company secretary course. If you ask chartered accountancy students, no, they wouldn't understand this at foundation level other than for what they learn in economics. Economics they read little, not in detail. They would understand these terms, capital to risk weighted assets ratio, and then what is a non-performing asset. They have problems on all this. The way I told you, know, they have it at the CA inter level. You guys get that? But when this current affairs paper was introduced to you, this RBI, financial affairs, economic affairs have come in, making you people get aware of these things at foundation level always. So you guys can cherish about this. But the part is that you don't have questions on this CRER computation or non-profit asset computation. You don't have this at any point of time during the entire course of CS. Technically, because the course doesn't need to know that. Like as a company secretary, it's not your area to be very sure with these things as such. So that's the point. Yeah, that's the news with respect to this, and that's been basically covered. And yeah, this is the news from the center. And yeah, this is again a detailed analysis. Like you can basically go through a lot of websites for financial stability report. Like whenever you read anything related to current affairs, and if you don't understand it, there are a lot of websites where you can make yourself good about those topics. Yeah, I just put this tab up for you to understand it. Okay, so that's the point, guys. And let's go back to our bulletin. This is a PDF that's issued by ICSI. It's available on ICSI's website. Okay, all you need to do is type for CSEET Bulletin July 2020 in the Google search. The very first link that you get takes you to ICSI website, and you will be able to download this PDF. This PDF basically has current, not just current affairs, but it has logical reasoning, legal aptitude, economics, and a lot of other papers which are part of your CSET. But I am discussing exclusively current affairs part. So this is what we discussed throughout now. Yeah, the Reserve Bank of India's that financial stability report. All these points are something that we discussed. Next, we're going to discuss about national educational policy. Detailed discussion is in our class video. You guys can go back and then watch that. Few important pointers is the education system that we have is very outdated and very old. So we've been making small changes in it all this while. But there was always a requirement for a major change. Rather than making small changes in the house, there is a point of time where you need to demolish the entire house and then rebuild it with the changing times, changing trend, and changing requirements. You guys get it? Maybe at that point of time that might have been correct, but it's not right now anymore. You guys get that? The major changes is the entire education system is going for a change. The major changes is like now we have it in clusters, 4 plus 3 plus 3, something of that sort. And it need not be like you should take physics, chemistry, mathematics mandatorily together. And along with that, you have an option of biology, electronics, or computer science. No, not necessarily. You can choose mathematics, accountancy, business studies, and psychology. So you can go interdisciplinary with respect to your options. And the bachelor degree is what like a lot of you might have been taking bachelor degree in commerce or bachelor degree in business administration and all these were basically of 3 years. Now it's been made to 4 years. All the bachelor degree will be 4 years. And the choice of physics, chemistry, or commerce stream, science stream that you usually pick after class 10 will come to class 8 only. From class 8 only you start picking up. And it's not just basically about academics now. There is a lot of skill based education that's been put in. Yeah, if you guys can remember a few years ago that skill India was a great concept. Yeah, so skill India, skill based concept, skill based learning is coming up, and the definition is not given exclusively for marks, and appreciation is not given for marks. So the skills, capabilities, attributes is something that's added to the mark sheet. If you can see, few schools have already shifted from the normal scoring system to CGPA, normal marks to grades. Now the criteria will be little more. Like it will not be like mathematics, science, English, language. It will not be those 5 papers for which A plus would come and then you qualify on that basis. There will be a lot of other things. Okay, creative learning, or what exactly is sports, and what exactly is the skill set that you have. Like are you good at architecture or art, drawing, sketching, theater arts. So there'll be a lot of other pointers which will have equal weightage as much as academics has. Yeah, that's a few changes. And sports has become integral part of your academics. Like it's not like sports is optional. Sports is part of it. And they're changing the entire school structure also. Schools can't function the way it's functioning all the way all these years. Okay, now having a sports area is mandatory in schools. If you don't have sports area, you might not get permission. And when you bring in changes, it is not just changes for the students, that faculties also should change, the teachers also should upgrade. Yeah, previously the eligibility criteria for teachers was different, now it's different. The teachers have to go massive training to train kids, and that's something that's a very bright change, you guys can see. And at the master's level, there was this philosophy course called as MPhil, Masters of Philosophy. This course has been removed. Now you have only PhD, you can only do PhD. And a few of the other changes is, now we had so many universities in our country that every university had its own entrance test. Now if you people finish your bachelor degree and you want to do master degree, each university have their own entrance test. One college has their entrance test, one more university has. How many entrance tests will a student give? So they've already unified this process in terms of engineering and medicine. They're bringing it up for all the streams. So all the universities should undergo only one common test. So this one common test that will be written pan India, which will be the eligibility criteria through which a student can get placed. And when you say get placed, there's something called as gender discrimination that was there, or gender inequality that was there. So they're setting up a fund also, okay, gender disciplinary fund or gender equality fund kind of thing. So wherein a lot of money would go into there, which will ensure that there are equal opportunities for all the genders. We are not talking about reservation to any of the genders. We're talking about equal opportunity to all the genders. And when we talk about genders, it is not about feminine gender or masculine gender. No, it's not about man and woman. It's not about boy or girl. It's about transgender categories also, and those are also covered. They also deserve equal opportunities in the present education system. So it's an important takeaway from this national educational policy, and quite a lot of other changes. We've discussed this in detail when we discussed our subject class, but there are few pointers given in the bulletin. Let us go through this. Yeah, and the primary main changes, till now, any change that was supposed to happen in your educational system, you were supposed to go to MHRD, Ministry for Human Resource. But right now, they're gonna create a separate ministry for education. I repeat, till now, education was covered under Human Resource Development Ministry, but now, from now, there's going to be a separate ministry called as Ministry for Education. Yeah, so let's read this. Recently, the Union Cabinet has approved new national educational policy with an aim to introduce several changes in the Indian education system. India, a global knowledge superpower, and all that. That's the objective. Let's quickly go to the salient features. Under the new policy, MPhil course has been discontinued. MPhil course has been discontinued. Okay, there's no concept of Master of Philosophy. And all UG. UG is undergraduation. PG is not paying, yes, PG is post graduation. Like BCom or BSc or BE, BBA, BBM, all these are undergraduation courses. PG is MBA, MPhil, MCom, MSc, MA, all these are post graduation course. And PhD level courses will be interdisciplinary, meaning you need not pick complete commerce as your undergraduation. You can have couple of commerce papers and couple of science papers in your undergraduation. Maybe you can study accounts, mathematics, zoology, and history. Interesting, isn't it? Hmm. Second point, a single regulator will lead all higher educational institutions. They're going to set up a separate body which will lead all the higher educational institutions. Yes. Next one, student focus on rote learning, their board examination. Yeah, that marks concept has been removed. Then medium of instruction till class 5 or class 8 will be local language. Now if you belong to Tamil Nadu, your major language that will be taught to you till class 5 will be Tamil. Or if you are from Kerala, it will be Malayalam. If you are from Karnataka, it will be Kannada. If you go little Uttar Karnataka types, maybe it might be Konkani or it might be Tulu. Or if you go to Andhra Pradesh, it will be Telugu. So they're telling that we're going to teach it in the regional language. So right now they're focusing it on regional language. Like there was a point where when this NEP draft was out, there was a concept where they had pushed Hindi, and they told like why should we be learning this? There was a national level protest and everyone fought against it. So later this part of change was brought in saying that regional language will be promoted till class 5 and class 8. A guy from that particular community or that particular state should know the local language to commute, and the local languages should be grown. You cannot just run towards English and then forget your roots. Yeah, so promotion of the local language is something that's very important for national development. Yeah, so that's been taken on a serious note, and then basic education to a child will be given in the regional language. Yeah, and that's point. And then vocational education will be given from class 6. Vocational education is also considered equally on par with academics. And instead of marks or statements or report cards, it will be now based on skills and capabilities. Yeah, how skilled is this person and everything. and basic standards will be set. You can't just start a school just like that in one floor or one rented premises or one rented house. So there are standard procedures. The school should be this much of area. The classroom should be this big. It should have so many washrooms. So many teacher-student ratio is to be maintained. You should have a playground. So all those rules have been put in. Yeah. Then entrance exam is going to be common for all the things. That's what is given here. You guys can see here entrance exam. And in terms of flexibility of subjects, I told you, right, you can choose subjects. You will not be forced to take accountancy and business studies mandatory. You will not be forced to take physics, chemistry, mathematics. You guys have an option. You like chemistry, you like mathematics, you don't like physics, okay. Physics might be king of sciences, you don't like it, okay, hate it, leave it. Study chemistry, study mathematics, study accountancy, or study economics, or study art, study architecture, possible. Yeah, multidisciplinary. Okay, that's the point. And they've added administrative, financial, and graded independence to institutions. Then e-courses. We are moving towards electronic era. So e-courses have been put in, and then 45,000 subsidy. These are like other basic points. Basic literacy, national mission will be focused. Okay, basic numeracy and basic literacy. We need to promote the literacy rate in the country. Yeah, because we are moving towards a digital era. We're moving towards we're moving towards an era where, okay, fine, if even if you see the shop vendor outside or the vegetable cart fellow who comes right in front of your house accepts Paytm these days, accepts Google Pay. So moving towards an era which is going to be very digital or very upgraded. So when people who have not gone to school are getting accustomed to this digital currency and then digital era and what to say paperless transactions and everything, people who's going to come into the generation, like people who are going to be just born and then get into schooling, they should be more upgraded. They should be learning things for the future, not things from the past. Yeah, so that's the basic intention. And other significant changes have been brought in, and there is a national assessment center that's going to be set up called as parak. Yeah, so this is going to be an assessment center which is at the national level, will cover all the educational institutions and all the other educational related entities throughout the country. So that's a bright takeaway. We'd have to see, very bright thing, very bright concept. If it gets implemented the way it's thought about, trust me, we actually will start seeing changes in our country very soon. Yeah, okay, so that's with respect to this one. And we'll quickly discuss few MCQs which is given as a part of our bulletin. So you have legal aptitude, logical reasoning, MCQs and all. You guys please read it, don't skip it. Economics and business environment also you have few. Let's see what's there with respect to current affairs. It's the last paper, isn't it? Yeah. Election Commission of India recently announced postal ballot rules. Yeah, postal ballot rules. Like very basically, there are a lot of people who've been allowed to vote not by or is it physically going there and then pressing the button and then taking the ink on their hand. There's a concept of postal ballot. This is usually allowed to those people. Now assume that I'm a central government employee and I have been put on election duty somewhere else, some other state or some other part, but my voting is in Bangalore, so I'll not be physically able to come here and vote. Or I'm a soldier. I'm in the border safeguarding India. I can't come all the way to Bangalore and then vote and go back. And my vote shouldn't go waste. So there's a lot of rules called as postal ballot rules. And like people who are unable to vote, they are allowed to vote by post. Okay. So with respect to postal ballot rules, the over the age of people who are over the age of 65 will be covered under this rule. So if I'm 65 and plus, I'm covered under the postal ballot rules. So that's the new changes that's been brought by Election Commission of India. Next one. Recently we saw this which one, PPP, right? PPP plan. Indian Railways PPP plan. What exactly is PPP plan? PPP plan is a plan which was brought in, and then the other day Piyush Goyal ji, who was the Minister for Railways, came out with this announcement. Public-private partnership plan. So till now, what happened was entire Indian Railways was under the government control. It was under the union government, central ministry. But now what's happening is they're allowing private partnership into Indian Railways. Meaning, like now see, if you want to commute from one place to another within the city, you have private buses, you have government buses. But if you have to travel from one city to another, do you have private trains? No, there's only one train, no Indian Railways train. Now there'll be private trains also. It's not like they'll put their own track, same track, they would share the investment with IRCTC and they would run their own business also there. You guys get that? So this way, the private trains will start functioning in our country from 2023. This is not the realistic date; this is an expected date. By the first private train might come out by 2023. So that's the news there. And Consumer Protection Act. Now I buy some product. Okay, I bought a laptop for taking classes, and this laptop malfunctioned. So what do? I go file a suit against this company. Under which act? Under Consumer Protection Act. So there's changing trends. Everything is going e-commerce way, and a lot of changes have happened significantly over a period of time. Certain amendments have been made, but amendments have been made over a period of time. It's like making makeup to an old lady. So it's time that you bring up someone new. So they're scrapping the old Consumer Protection Act, and new Consumer Protection Act 2019 is going to be come forward, like has been put forth. So when is it being applicable from? It's applicable from July 20th, 2020. Yeah, they're revising the entire act. Now Companies Act, previously it was Companies Act 1956. They had made a lot of changes to Companies Act 1956. It had so many changes that they felt like, okay, fine guys, let's redo it. Let's introduce a new act. That's how Companies Act 2020 came. Companies Act 2013 came. Similarly, Consumer Protection Act, previously what was there, it is not like it was not there. It was there after so many amendments. Now they finally decided that let's redraft the entire law, and the new act that's been issued in place of the old Consumer Protection Act is Consumer Protection Act 2019, and this is applicable from July 2020. Yeah, July 2020. Next, which state will host fourth edition of Kelo India? I had told you this, okay, one fine day. We had discussed this in the regular class. Not exactly this news, but about Kelo India. If you guys can remember, in one such press meet, Narendra Modi ji had come out and he was like, okay, Mitro, mere pyare deshwasiyo, yeah, and I can't tell much of Hindi after that because all of you might not understand. Yeah, my Hindi is so bad. And then I switched to English there. Okay. The Prime Minister told that the major part of our population is youth. Very great thing, isn't it? There are a lot of news. No, 80% of Indian population is youth. India is a young country. Very good, very good. But what is the point? 80% of the country's people are youth and young, but all the guys are busy playing PUBG. All the girls are busy doing TikTok. So what is the point of having a youth who are not energetic, who are not bright, who are not having a vision, who are not doing things which are productive? Yeah. And a very important thing is a country has to be healthy. A country has to be healthy. Country is average of its the health of its citizen. So every youth, every young guy, no, these days 16, 17-year old kids, they can't run for a kilometer. That is the kind of health that they have, because they sit at home all day, play video games. They sit at home all day and then watch something on Netflix, Amazon. It was not like traditional old days where kids go out in the sun and then play. Yeah, it's very important for the people of the country to be young when it comes to their heart, and rich when it comes to their health. So with this intention, Narendra Modi ji, in that particular thing, he had told like, okay, Ek Bharat, Swasth Bharat. He told, no, like, you need to be healthy. He wanted all of them to be healthy. He told like, you need to be healthy. Go out, run, go out, play, go out, jog. So that was the intention. Basically, Prime Minister had made that statement. So to promote athletics in our country, we are not really great at Olympics even today. So to promote that athleticism in the country, to promote that sports in our country, Kelo India was actually started. Kelo India is a national level, what is a sports event. So with this, the first event of Kelo India happened in 2020. It was in Guwahati, Assam. Yeah, it was kicked off in the month of January. I was in Guwahati in the month of November, December. So I had closely seen the entire posters coming up and the entire city happening. Guwahati is an amazing city to be, and not much of what do you say commercial activities do happen there other than for tourism. So to promote the state as well as Assam as a state from northeast, and the commercial viability of the state, the first edition of Kelo India was held there. Yeah, in 2020, early part of, now you say sir, during this COVID how did it happen? This happened in early Jan Feb times. Now 2021 May, we never know if it happens or not, but if it is, where is it scheduled to happen? So that's the question. Sorry, fourth edition it is, like, where is it scheduled to happen? It is scheduled to happen in Haryana. Sorry, the third edition happened in Guwahati, and the fourth edition of Kelo India is expected to happen where? It's expected to happen in Haryana. Done. And this is the normal Kelo India Youth Games. The winter sports is expected to happen in Gulmarg, Kashmir this year. Yeah, no, not this year, 2021, next year. Yeah, that's with respect to fourth one. Next one, National Educational Policy 2020 emphasizes to set up which of the following fund. I did mention this when we were discussing National Educational Policy. To bring in that gender equality, there's something called as Gender Inclusion Fund that's going to be set up, which will ensure that a certain amount of money is dedicated exclusively to ensure that there is no gender discrimination in the education, isn't it? There is equal opportunities for men, women, and transgender people. Yeah, that's from fifth question. Then the sixth question. Recently, government has changed the name of Ministry of Human Resource Development to Ministry of Education. I told you, right? The new ministry has come up now. It is Ministry of Education. Next, which course will be discontinued? MPhil is the course that will be discontinued under the new scheme of National Education Policy. Amar Singh. Amar Singh is the person who recently passed away. Yeah, deep condolences and my heart cries for their family. So who's this guy? This guy was a person, is a politician from Samajwadi Party, basically from the state of Uttar Pradesh, who basically died recently. Yeah. Then Manoj Sinha has been appointed as new Lieutenant Governor of which of the Union Territory? It is Jammu and Kashmir. After that subrogation of what do you say, Article 370, Jammu and Kashmir as a state has been split into Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Jammu and Kashmir is an union territory as well as Ladakh. Now, Jammu and Kashmir is a union territory with legislature. Ladakh is a union territory without legislature. If there is a union territory without legislature, then what would happen? They would, if it doesn't have legislature, they would have only lieutenant governor. They would not have the chief minister. If it is a union territory with legislature, they would have what to say the chief minister. Now, Puducherry or Pondicherry, whatever we call, it is a union territory. It was a union territory without legislature for quite long. Later, it has legislature. Legislature means it will have MLAs also being elected there. It will have a local assembly. Yeah, and there is a chief minister also for Puducherry. Done. And if you guys would have seen, if you go to union territory and then buy something, if you buy something, then that GST bill that you get, there will be CGST and UTGST and not SGST. CGST is central goods and service tax. UTGST is union territory. Whereas if you buy it in any state like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, you get CGST, SGST. SGST is state goods and service tax. If you go to Pondicherry, Pondicherry is a union territory, but still if you get the bill on that, it will be CGST, SGST. Why? Though Pondicherry is a union territory, it is on par with the state because it has legislature. You guys get it? Yeah. If you go to Diu, Daman, Nagar, and Haveli, there you won't get SGST. It will be CGST and UTGST. You guys get that? Ladakh, if there is a GST bill, it will be what? CGST and ITGST. Sorry, UTGST. But in Jammu and Kashmir, it will be CGST, SGST. Why? It is a union territory with legislature. Yeah. Jammu and Kashmir will have a chief minister. Ladakh will not have chief minister. But right now there is no chief minister for Jammu and Kashmir. There is only lieutenant governor. So what is the name of the lieutenant governor? Manoj Sinha. Done. Next, Manoj Sinha was a former minister for railways. Sir, former minister for railways. I have not come across the name. He was former minister for railways as a state or independent charge, not the union minister of railways. Okay. This, if you guys can remember our political affairs discussion, I told you independent charge, minister for state. Yeah, that way. Then 10th one, till when? Okay, Ajay Tyagi, the chairman of SEBI, is being given an extension. He will continue as chairman. Though his term is over, he will continue to be the chairman of SEBI till December 2000, no, no, February 2022. Yeah, next year February tak he'll continue. So that's the solution to the MCQs that was published in our ICSI published CSEET bulletin for the month of which month? August 2020. So I'll definitely come about one more bulletin for the month of September, and definitely it will continue for October, November, December, and for all the upcoming months. Considering whichever month you're writing your exam, 1 month before the date of examination. Till then, whatever news comes in the bulletins is part of your syllabus, and questions on them, questions in relation to them, can definitely come in our examination. So that's it for now. I hope I could actually add some value to your current affairs knowledge, and I hope this is of some use in your examination preparations. And I'm very hopeful that you people would do really great in your CSET examination. The time is running. I want all of you to run as well. And then remember, Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, Swadhyayanam Ma Pramada. Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara being the motto of our ICSI. Swadhyayana Mahapramadha is my message to all of you, saying that never ever stop studying, never ever stop so to say pushing yourself to study. Self study is more important thing, and you have to never give up on that. And that's it for today. Then see you all in the next bulletin. Till then, bye bye.